Which NFL division is the strongest? And which division is the weakest? Welcome, football fans, to another BLV NFL rankings video. In this video, I rank all 8 NFL divisions entering the 2025 NFL season. If that sounds good, Gronk, spike the like button. Don't forget, don't be a jabroni, and subscribe for more NFL off-season rankings just like this. Let's get started and kick it off with the worst division in all of football entering 2025. If your team is a part of this division, I'm sorry, but this division is pathetic. They are the worst in the league. Every other division's fan base is laughing at you, bro, because this division is a laughing stock. At number 8 is the AFC South. Not only does the AFC South have the Indianapolis Colts within it. Yes, I'm going to keep trolling the Colts until I have no hair left on my head. If you haven't already, Gronk, spike the like button because we're going to get real. The Tennessee Titans are in this division. The first overall pick Tennessee Titans, by the way. Not some terrific, titanic Tennessee Titans. No. The first overall pick, Tennessee Titans. Sure, you have the Houston Texans, back-to-back division champs, but did you watch that offensive line last year? If they were in another division, they probably don't win a division. And then you got the Jacksonville Duval, whatever the heck Liam Cohen said. Duval. The Jacksonville Jags, who can't play a lick of defense. Now, for real, within this division, there are 3 teams that I honestly think have no hope to make the playoffs. The Indianapolis Colts don't have a quarterback. Anthony Richardson can't complete a 2-foot pass. He can't hit water if he fell out of a boat. I don't care how good the D-line, O-line, run game, wide receiver depth chart is. They don't have a quarterback. The Tennessee Titans may have Cam Ward, and I love the swagger of Cam Ward. I love the confidence. I think long-term, the Titans will be good. But this year, I still have my questions about Callahan, the head coach. That's for certain. I feel like Cam Ward doesn't have a lot of real options to throw the ball to. Calvin Ridley is not really a wide receiver 1 in my book. Tyler Lockett is older than dirt. Okonkwo can't actually run a real route. So the offense, I feel like, will be lacking. And defensively, I don't think they have a pass rush. I don't think their front 7 has a ton of playmakers or game changers, really, besides Jeff Simmons. The Tennessee Titans will not be a very good team next year. And yes, to that one Titans fan, I am sleeping on the Titans. I'm sorry. They're not very good. They won't be very good next year. Your hope is in a couple years, you have another strong offseason, and you could be a competitive team. But right now, you're not that. Sorry, pal. Okay? Jacksonville. You got to get over how your coach says Duval, and then once you figure that out, you've got to figure out how to cover somebody. You got to figure out how to play defense. You got to figure out how to block for your quarterback. You have all these holes, and yet your new young general manager drafts 2 running backs and 2 linebackers like you needed more of those. So to me, the AFC South, yeah, I like the Texans. I think the Texans could be better than last year. I think the Texans have a terrific defense. I think they might have the best defense front to back in the NFL. Their pass rush is wicked. They got 2 awesome corners. They have linebackers with speed and ferociousness. They have safeties. They have it all on defense. Now, can they protect Stroud? That's a big question. I'm a big Nico Collins guy. There's no bigger Nico Collins guy. I love Joseph Mixon. I think the Texans can go to the Super Bowl if they can block someone. But that is going to be a big question. So the Texans are good, but every other team I don't think is very good. That's why the South is in last. Now, the South is just a complete joke. I'm sorry, because the NFC South is number 7. I don't know what's going on with football in the South, but it's all about college, and it's not about the NFL. It's all trash. The NFC South is dominated by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and it's not even like they have Tom Brady anymore. It still is dominated by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers that employ Todd Bowles as their head coach. I'm sorry, I like Todd Bowles. Seems like a very nice man. He is not a great head coach. So if you cannot take Todd Bowles off the top spot of your division, what type of Jabronieville are you running in the NFC South? The New Orleans Saints, we've been over this, they are down in the dumps. They're going to have an absolutely horrific season, and I feel bad for their fans because their eyes are going to hurt. They're going to have to squint watching the Saints in 2025. I don't know if Derek Carr's playing. I don't know if he's not. Kellen Moore's the dorkiest looking head coach I've seen. Their offensive line is a mix-mash unit. Alvin Kamara is old. Chris Olave had one too many concussions. The defense is a retirement home with no cornerbacks. The Saints stink. The Carolina Panthers, well, they'll keep pounding for 6 wins. I hope they're better this year. I'll genuinely cheer for Carolina. But look, they've got a little man at quarterback. That little man has to prove that he's going to be big time at the NFL level because he's only really done it for a few games. Sure, they added T-Mac. Sure, they have Adam Thielen. Sure, they've got the Canadian kid, Hubbard. I don't know how good that offense really is. I think it's all right. It's nothing special. The defense was literally the worst defense ever. So, I mean, they could get a little bit better with the additions they made. But I don't know, man. Carolina kind of feels like a 6 to 8 win team. Somewhere in that range. Pretty comfortably. I don't really see them being a 10-win team in any world. I don't really see them being a 4-win team in any world. They're stuck. It's a positive progression, but I feel like they are in Midville. And then you've got the Atlanta Falcons, who, for some reason, allow themselves to employ the 2 biggest jackasses in the NFL at general manager and head coach. Raheem Morris is the worst head coach in football. Every Falcons fan thinks Michael Penix is the next Michael Vick mixed with Matt Ryan. Good luck with that. Their offensive line is good, but it's not special. Bijan is special, but it's a running back. I mean, come on. Kyle Pitts might be some other version of special. Drake London is pretty awesome. I like Darnell Mooney. Okay, the offense could be good, but I don't know about Michael Penix yet. I need to wait and see. To me, Atlanta, they did improve their defense. They got a couple edge rushers in the first round, right? They got a couple safeties. But this unit on defense, it's not going to be a top 10 unit. It's not going to be a top 15 unit. Right? That's going to take a lot. I mean, these rookies are really going to have to just carry. And I don't see that happening. I love Jesse Bates. AJ Terrell's very good. David Onyemata can still ball, but I feel like they're like around 17, 18, 19 defensively. They're probably somewhere around mid offensively. If Penix is actually good, maybe they can flirt with the top 10. So this team's a little bit better than mid, maybe, but they kind of feel like 8 wins, 9 wins, maybe 10 at the best, maybe 6, 5 at the worst. I mean, they do have Jabroni, Raheem Morris running the show. So Tampa Bay, I really have nothing to say poorly about Tampa. I'll just say I don't know what they were doing at the draft. I don't know why they felt like they had to take their 15th wide receiver. I like Baker a ton, but we'll see how he does produce without Liam Cohen. I think Tampa is comfortably the favorite of this division, kind of like with the Houston Texans in the AFC South. I feel like they're comfortably the contender from this division. But defensively, Tampa was not very good last year, and you kind of wonder at what point is Todd Bowles going to be let go? Because, I know that he keeps making the playoffs and he keeps winning, but every single year it's because of the offense, the side of the ball that he doesn't actually coach, and every side of the ball that is poor is his side of the ball. So I'm just kind of wondering how that works out. But I still love my guys in Tampa. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin's back. You got to love Bucky Irving. You got to love Tristan Wirfs, Vita Vea. You got to love Lavonte David, Antoine Winfield. They still got a lot of really good players. I love how they beefed up their cornerback position in the draft as well. I'm kind of disappointed they didn't do more for safety or linebacker, but Tampa is still comfortably, to me, the favorite of this division. I look at this division and I say there's 3 teams that I feel like are unlikely to make the playoffs in this division. There's 3 teams I don't feel very good about. There's one team I think will absolutely stink. That's the Saints. There's one team that I think will be fun, but not very good, the Carolina Panthers. There's one team that a lot of people think will be good, but they'll just be frustrating, the Atlanta Falcons. And at the end of the day, Tampa will be the only team that I think will really do anything. But that's just my opinion. That's the NFC South. At number 6, this is where the list kind of starts to get interesting. The AFC East. I have the East here because the Patriots are still kind of unproven. Despite the potential of the Patriots, which a lot of people think they're going to make the playoffs, that would make 2 teams in the playoffs to make the playoffs for the AFC East. I think I just said playoffs maybe 1 or 3 or 4 or 5 too many times, but you understand what I'm saying. If the Patriots make the playoffs, that would make Buffalo and New England playoff teams. That would mean Josh Allen and Josh Allen Jr. are both in the playoffs. Now, I think the Patriots are actually going to be really good, and I'm not just saying that as a Patriots fan. If you look at their team, their roster, they've really improved all areas of their team. They've improved it from a coaching perspective, an offense and a defense perspective. They've added weapons around Drake May, like Travion Henderson, like Stephon Diggs, like Kyle Williams. They've added protection like Morgan Moses, Will Campbell, okay? They've added defensive playmakers like Milton Williams, Harold Landry, Carlton Davis, right? Spillane, okay? So the Patriots, I actually think the ceiling for this team, truly, honestly, deeply, with Mike Vrabel, Josh McDaniels coaching this team could shock people in the playoffs if they make it. This is the type of style of team, defensive-driven, run, balanced offense, playmaking quarterback, where Mike Vrabel's done this before with this type of team. They could win a playoff game. They could win 2 playoff games, and I wouldn't be that shocked. If Drake May is really as good as I think, this team has a high ceiling, but also that being said, they have a low floor because they have a lot of inexperience. They have a lot of new players and new faces and new coaches, so they do have a low floor as well. So the Patriots are kind of the wild card of this division for them to move up or down the list. You've got the New York Jets, who I think will just stink like the Jets always do, because they do employ Justin Fields. And when you employ Justin Fields as your quarterback, your ceiling is not that high, despite how athletic and aesthetic he is. Defensively, I think they'll be solid, but nothing special. Aaron Glenn is a jabroni, in my opinion. And then offensively, I mean, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, I like some of the things, but I don't love it. I think offensively, they're not going to be anything better than a bottom 5 offense. And then defensively, I think they could be a top 10 defense at their best, but I don't think it will be all that consistent like it kind of was last year. So the Jets are the worst team by far in this division, in my opinion, but Miami is lurking in terms of being bad. I mean, Miami, a lot of people don't really recognize their culture is just absolutely in shambles. Jalen Ramsey doesn't want to be there. Tyreek Hill would rather make another baby. The offensive line is pathetic. Teron Armstead's gone, right? Calais Campbell, their leadership core, gone. Old, polite men, gone. Okay, now they just got a bunch of jackasses. Okay, their defensive line, all of them are tearing their ACLs constantly. I don't really know how to keep up. Tua is constantly getting concussed. I mean, how often will he be on the field? Okay, Waddle can waddle his ass out of here. I mean, the Miami Dolphins are going to win 6-7 games, probably, maybe 8. In an ideal Tua maybe plays more than half the year type of scenario. If not, we're going to have to watch the Cougar Hunter himself, Zach Wilson, hit the football field, which will be a lot of fun for a Patriots fan. And then you've got the Buffalo Bills, who are pretty damn good. No real complaints there. They might win the Super Bowl. They have the best player in football. His wife's movie, I just saw it, Sinners, very, very good. I would go check it out. Josh Allen, best player in the league. I think they're going to be really good as long as he stays on the field. They also have James Cook. They in the backfield, they've got one of the best offensive lines. They've got one of the deepest skill position groups. They have an improved defense with, I think, Maxwell Harrison is really going to help their cornerback group. They've got about 4 safeties. They've got to figure out how that's going to work out. Matt Milano for a full season is exciting. Joey Bosa on the other side of Gregory Rousseau. They added a TJ Sanders in the draft on the defensive tackle position. Landon Jackson at the defensive end. They've done a lot to beef up that defensive front and hopefully allow them to get over the top against Kansas City and Baltimore. But that's really the question for them. The question is not will they win the division. They probably will as long as Josh is healthy. But it's about winning the Super Bowl. It's about winning the AFC at the very least. So to me, Buffalo is a lock to make the playoffs. The Patriots can flirt with it, but I'm not sold yet. The Dolphins, I think, will decline, and the Jets stink. So that's the AFC East. At number 5, the AFC North, surprisingly. This one might be argued against in the comments, and I'd like to hear some compelling arguments. It depends on the Bengals. I'm just going to be straight up with you guys. If the Bengals are as good as they were in 2021 and 2022, then yeah, the Bengals will be the team that dictates this division move up the list. But if the Bengals still have an absolutely horrific defense and they're an offensive team that can't really stop anybody, so they're like 9-8, 10-7, then I feel this ranking is accurate, which is exactly what the Bengals were last year, right? They had arguably the most fun offense in football. They put up fireworks on a consistent weekly basis. They were a ton of fun to cheer for and watch. I mean, Joe Burrow slinging it to T. Higgins, to Mike Gesicki, to Jamar Chase, to Yossi Voss, to Chase Brown out of the backfield. Their offensive line should see some improvement this season, but I feel like they are just a really difficult team to stop, but it really comes down to their defense. Did they do enough with their pick with Shamar Stewart and the linebacker selections and Oren Burks and TJ Slayton? Did their cornerback group get healthy enough? Will this scheme change truly help that group and that area of the defense? So the Bengals are a team where I wouldn't be shocked if Joe Burrow went nuclear again, 5,050 touchdowns, and had this team at 13-4. I wouldn't be that shocked, okay? So in that case, I might move them up the list. But then you also got another wild card joker team in this division, which is known as the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, you would say that they're consistent, but the Pittsburgh Steelers might be employing Mason Rudolph as their quarterback. And when you employ Mason Rudolph, I can't trust you. Now, if it's Aaron Rodgers, I can trust you to win probably 9, 10, 11 games, okay? Last year, the Pittsburgh Steelers were terrible down the stretch. I know that they went to the playoffs and they were 10-7, but they were horrific down the stretch. They won 2 out of their last 7 games. They could not win a game, and that was with Russell Wilson, okay? That was not Mason Rudolph, okay? So don't get it twisted. All right. Now, Mike Tomlin, he usually gets a winning record out of any soul at quarterback, but I'm starting to wear thin with this Mike Tomlin fella. I mean, every single year we get to the playoffs and we get absolutely shellacked. I don't even want to watch it. I don't want to watch your Christmas games. I don't want to watch your games in the playoffs. Okay. I get it. You got TJ Watt. He's going to find a way to get 19.5 sacks and 15 forced fumbles, and you got Cam Hayward, and you got a sick defense. I give you that, Steelers. But honestly, this team's floor is probably 7 wins if Mason Rudolph's their quarterback, 6 wins, maybe at the absolute peak worst if guys get hurt. like their older guys on defense. And then offensively, who knows what's going to go down there, but I feel like their ceiling is probably if Aaron Rodgers gets cooking, if Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers, I mean, they could be a contender. I mean, they could win 12, 13 games with Aaron Rodgers being Aaron Rodgers, but most likely Aaron Rodgers does sign, and most likely Aaron Rodgers is the Jets' Aaron Rodgers, which in that case, he's probably like winning them 9, 10 games, and they might make the playoffs again, and they might be a little bit more interesting week to week and fun to watch because they have Aaron Rodgers, but I don't know if they'll actually be that much better of a team than they were with Russell Wilson. So the AFC North, obviously you got Baltimore and Cleveland on the ends of the spectrum. You've got those two teams in the middle that kind of dictate the ceiling and the floor of this division. Baltimore feels like a safe lock to be a contender this year. They might even have a more talented team than they did last year. You have the guy that nearly has won 3 MVPs in the NFL, Lamar Jackson. You have one of the best defenses in football, top to bottom. You have a very consistent leader and coach in John Harbaugh. You've got Derek the King Henry. You've got Zay Flowers. You've got 2 tight ends that are awesome. I mean, Baltimore could win the Super Bowl this year. This might be their season, so that's an awesome team. And then Cleveland doesn't have a quarterback, but they've got a lot of other things that you like. They've got 2 coaches in Schwartz and Stefanski. They have an offensive line that, when healthy, is solid. They did improve their running back room. They have Jerry Jeudy, David Njoku at wide receiver, tight end, playmaker. And then defensively, they have one of the most stacked defenses in football, now adding Mason Graham to Myles Garrett up front, getting Schlesinger in the draft at linebacker to fill a hole, and one of the best trios of corners that can man you up and shut you down. So Cleveland could be a pretty interesting team that gives a lot of teams fits, but due to the inability of a quarterback to step up, unless Dylan Gabriel shows out or Shedeur Sanders, I don't think this team's better than 5 or 6 wins because I think the quarterback position is that bad for them. So that's the AFC North. 2 wildcard teams, 2 joker teams with 1 awesome team and 1 probably pretty bad team. And that's why I chose to go with the NFC East above the AFC North, because the NFC East at least has like 2 teams that were actually in their conference's NFC championship game. Like, that's a very impressive feat, right? The Steelers made the playoffs last year. The Bengals just missed. So that top 3 was a little bit better than the NFC East. I'm also trying to calculate and move forward and project forward as well with these divisions and how they look going into this year, not necessarily last year. But I take that into account. Then also at the same time, Giants and Browns are in a similar category. I kind of feel like the Giants maybe have like a higher floor, but the Browns might have a higher ceiling, if that makes sense, depending on what happens at quarterback for both teams. But I look at the NFC East and I say, like, the Eagles and the Commanders faced off in the NFC Championship. That's an impressive feat. And you've got Dallas, who still won 7 games without their quarterback last year, pretty much. I mean, Dak really missed, like, most of the season. So, I kind of look at Dallas and I kind of think they could be better than last year. I know that Schottenheimer takes over for McCarthy, and that's an unproven and unknown. And I know that they don't really have a lot of weapons on offense. But I do really think their defense, with what they did in the draft with Revel and Ezeraku in particular, adding Dante Fowler in free agency, these are impressive moves. And adding Matt Eberflus, I think that's going to keep their foundation pretty firm and pretty high, and their floor pretty high for the defense. So I think that complementing Dak, maybe an explosive running back like Jaden Blue out of Texas, CeeDee Lamb, Ferguson at tight end, I think this team can flirt with 7 to 10 wins in that range. So the Cowboys are kind of that middling mid team of this division. Then you've got the Commanders, who I do kind of think will regress because their defense just has no pass rush. And I feel like their defense is going to be the catastrophe that nobody sees coming. At the same time, I feel like their offense is going to be lights out and a lot of fun to watch. It's hard to deny Jaden Daniels at this point. Cliff Kingsbury has the best sunglasses game in football. And then you've got Deebo Samuel and Terry McLaurin doing work. So, and Laramie Tunzel should help the blind side. Connerly should help the offensive line strengthen. So I look at the Commanders and I say they're probably not going to be as good as last year. They're probably not going to be as Cinderella and as fun as last year, but they'll still be good. They'll still score a lot of points, and they'll still flirt with the playoffs. So I like the Commanders. And then you've got the Eagles, who some people think can repeat. That's how talented this team is, right? A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley, Dallas Goedert, Jalen Hurts, best offensive line in football with Mailata and Jones. Arguably still the best defense in football, led by Jalen Carter, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, and Zach Bond. I mean, this defense is sick, sweet, and absolutely filthy in Philadelphia. So I think the Eagles are an elite team that I think will lock up the division. I think the Commanders are flirting with the playoffs. I think the Cowboys are kind of sneaking up on people. And I think the Giants are actually underrated and slept on because they did improve their roster a ton. The only really areas of concern are quarterback and offensive line, but those are two pretty crucial areas. Daboll, I think, has his work cut out for him in this division, looking up at everybody. But at the same time, I kind of feel like their defense improved so much, and it could be dominant. I mean, the G-men could be dominant on defense. Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, right? You've got Abdul Carter, Kayvon Thibodeau. They added Golston out of Dallas. They added, Aldebo. They added the safety, Javon Holland. I mean, crazy stuff in the NFC East. So, yeah, I love the Eagles. Commanders are good. Cowboys are solid. And the Giants, they've got more potential than last year. They're more competent than last year, but they're still the weakest team. Then at number 3, AFC North, you've already been chosen. We have the NFC West. The NFC West is at number 3 because the NFC West has a firm 4. Their 4 teams are all solid to good to great. None of these teams are bad. Like in the AFC North and the NFC East and the AFC East, every team we've talked about, every division we've talked about has some sort of hierarchy, some sort of order that feels sufficient and understandable and consistent. Every division until now. The NFC West has 4 teams where you could tell me the Rams won the division and I'd be like, okay, I get it. You could tell me the Niners won the division. I'd be like, yes, okay, I get it. You could tell me the Seahawks won the division. I'd be like, okay, Sam Darnold must have been good. You could tell me the Cardinals won the division. I'd be like, with what they did this offseason, if Kyler Murray plays pretty well, okay, I can buy it. So all 4 of these teams, and this is why they're number 3, all 4 of these teams could win the division. That's why they're number 3. It's pretty simple. I think San Francisco is not going to be as unfortunate, as unlucky, as cursed as last season. They suffered their Super Bowl hangover. They're ready to return to promised land. They're ready to return under Kyle Shanahan. You've got so many playmakers. George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Christian McCaffrey is back. Trent Williams is the big man is back, right? You've got Ricky Pearsall entering year 2. Jawan Jennings is a dog on third down. They're going to have a top 5, top 7 offense. You have defensively, I think, a re-spirited Robert Saleh with the San Francisco 49ers, Nick Bosa, and a bunch of young dogs big man from Georgia there in the first round. You've got Fred Warner. You've got Lenore, who's a dog himself. I look out for some of these younger guys from last year's and this year's draft class to really rejuvenate the Niners to a playoff status. You look at the Cardinals, who have totally changed and totally recrafted their defense from Josh Sweat to, Dalvin Tomlinson, Calais Campbell, Will Johnson. This defense is going to be so much better, which is going to complement their offense that can run the ball, control the clock, and keep other opposing offenses off the field. And it comes down to Kyler. And then you have the Rams, who have McVay and Stafford, and they're super consistent and well-coached. Their defense is young, hungry, great pass rush up front. They have Nakua and Devontae Adams. Forget about it. And then you've got the Seahawks with Mike McDaniel and his defensive genius, an absolutely loaded front 7, an awesome secondary with Woolen and, of course, Witherspoon and Love. And now they got a new safety in the draft. And the offense, the O-line is pretty shit. And you've got Kenneth Walker, and you've got Cooper Kupp. We'll see what he can do in his hometown. And I don't know about the wide receivers, but JSN is talented. Sam Darnold needs some protection, but I like Sammy Biscuits if he's protected. So the Seahawks could also be compelling. They won 10 games last year. The Rams made the playoffs and almost beat the Eagles last year. The Niners made the Super Bowl the year before that. The Cardinals made the playoffs a couple years ago. This is a good, talented division top to bottom. Number 2, the AFC West. The Kansas City Chiefs. They've been to the Super Bowl like every single season. They're basically the New England Patriots. I know that they don't appear to be as stacked or as loaded or as ready or as just, there's something off there. It's not even, like, you can't even really look at the roster and say that they're not going to be as good, but there's something about this team. There's something about the Chiefs where you're like, and maybe it's the Super Bowl hangover. Maybe it's how disgustingly terrible, awful, no good they were in the Super Bowl. Maybe it's Patrick Mahomes playing like a donkey the last 2 seasons. Maybe it's Travis Kelce getting fat with Taylor Swift. Maybe it's no more Joe Tooney. I don't know, but they still got Steve Spags. He's going to make that defense. He's going to wizard it up. He's going to make things happen. They got Trent McDuffie. They got Chris Jones. They got Nick Bolton still somehow. They've got Hollywood back. They've got Rasheed back. Despite all his problems, Worthy's the fastest man alive. They've got Pacheco with knees returning. So the Chiefs will still be there. They'll still be relevant. But the Broncos, they might even be a boosted version from last year. You've got, a running back in Harvey who's a lot of fun. You've got Cortland Sutton and now another new wide receiver in the 2nd round or 3rd round or wherever Sean Payton decided to pick this jabroni. Then you've got one of the best offensive lines, Bo Nix in year 2. He might even be better. The defense is pretty ridiculous on paper. If they can get a healthy Dre Greenlaw, which is saying a lot, a healthy Hufanga, which is saying a lot, this defense doesn't have any holes across the board, and they have the defensive player of the year. They have Zach Allen. They have Nick Bonito. Forget about it. Vance Joseph's having the time of his life, and offenses will not be. Quarterbacks will not be. The Chargers are time to bolt up. You got Hampton, who's the biggest man I've ever seen, next to Jim Harbaugh. You've got Ladd McConkey, Rashawn Slater, and you've got Joe Alt. Forget about it. You got Becton, Najee Harris. The defense is well schemed, well schooled. These are 3 teams that made the playoffs last year. And you've got the Las Vegas Raiders with Pete Carroll chewing his gum like nobody I've ever seen. Geno Smith and Ashton Genty. And you've also got Brock Bowers and Jacoby Myers. And then defensively, Max Crosby, Malcolm Kuntz, and you got Christian Wilkins returning. And then you got a bunch of bums behind them, but it's okay because Tom Brady's there, right? And they hooked up the spy tech at GM, and the Raiders might actually be 7 wins or something like that. They could be. So 3 playoff teams and a 7-win team, that's a pretty damn talented division. And at number 1, the NFC North is, without a doubt, in my opinion, the best division in football. I could see all 4 of these teams winning the division, and I wouldn't even blink twice, other than that one time that I just did it, because the Chicago Bears are for real now. Caleb Williams, you have no choice but to be good, because you have Ben Johnson, you have DJ Moore, Colston Loveland, Luther Burden, Rome Odunze, a sick offensive line with Drew Dahlman, Joe Tooney, and Jonah Jackson added, and DeAndre Swift catching and running the ball. The Bears could actually score points, which is the first time in their entire history of football. And defensively, we know the Bears can play defense. And now they have Dennis Allen. And they got Montez Sweat chasing down every quarterback in the league. And they got Jalen Johnson. And they are a really well-built team now, actually at the line of scrimmage for once. The Bears are that worst team in that division, but they could easily be the best. I wouldn't even be that surprised. They're so talented, and I love their offensive scheme. And then you've got the Detroit Lions, the reigning, defending champs of this division, barely beating out the Minnesota Vikings. Did I say that Detroit won 15 games last year and the Vikings won 14? I don't remember the last time that 2 of these teams could have been the first seed in the conference. How many times has that happened? That 2 teams in the same division played for the chance to be the number 1 seed and the division champs. That's crazy. And I know the Vikings got obliterated by the Rams in the playoffs, but still my point stands. The Vikings have gotten better. The Vikings have improved their offensive line with Ryan Kelly and Will Fries and Donovan Jackson. They've improved running back with Jordan Mason. They've improved their defensive line with Javon Hargrave and Jonathan Allen. And they've got Brian Flores and Kevin O'Connell. And I don't even care if J.J. McCarthy is the next coming of Anakin Skywalker, or I don't even care. Okay? It doesn't matter. Because the team is so sick, he doesn't even have to do anything. And then you have Detroit, going back to them because I missed them. My brother Aiden Hutchinson is coming back. You've got guys in their prime like Jameer Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Jack Campbell, Brian Branch, Aleem McNeil eventually. And yes, Dan Campbell, he's going to have to control himself without Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn. I don't know if he's going to do it without his Thunder buddies, but he'll figure it out. He'll figure it out, and Detroit is still so darn and damn talented that they'll win some games. There's no doubt about it. And then you have, of course, the Green Bay Packers. Matt LaFleur, he might have to get an extra haircut every once in a while because he's going to be stressing. The Grays might have to show up. He might have to pull out the Troy Aikman just for men. But Matt LaFleur will figure out how to scheme up points with Matthew Golden and Josh Jacobs. Jordan Love might just be mid, but mid is good enough when you have that good of an offensive line and that good of an offensive scheme. And defensively, I think they're solid, right? They were decent last year. They're just not great against great teams, but they can beat a bunch of bad teams. That means they're going to be relevant at the end of the season. They're going to win 9, 10, 11 games like they did last year, like they have pretty much every year under Matt LaFleur, right? So the floor is high for the Packers and the Lions. And then you have the potential of J.J. McCarthy's Vikings. They won 14 friggin' games last year. And you have the Bears, who could win the division, and they're the worst team in the division. So at number 1, the NFC North. Those are my rankings for every division in the NFL. I hope you guys enjoyed. Gronk, spike the like button. Don't be a jabroni. Subscribe. Peace.